More often than not, the most successful salespeople have a fair few things in common. It's almost like an algorithm. If you do certain things, generally you'll get an expected result. So what are the 5 traits that all successful salespeople share? Let's look into it. The first one is that they're winners. Most really good salespeople generally come from a background of either martial arts or competitive sport or even military, and they don't mind getting competitive. But more importantly, they're resourceful. In order to be a winner, number one, you have to have a desire to win, but you have to have a desire to win no matter what. That's where the resourcefulness kicks in. It's one of my favorite quotes from Tony Robbins. He says, it's never a lack of resources, it's always a lack of resourcefulness. The key trait that most really successful people have is that they just find a way. And learning how to master that skill can be a little bit difficult. But if you simply decide that you're going to be a resourceful person, you decide that you're going to be a winner, that's going to help you achieve more than anything. In fact, when I interview, I actually tell people, I say, I don't mean to lack humility here, but I don't have second place in my DNA. I only really want winners in my business. If you want a winning team, you need a team full of winners. What have you done in your life to demonstrate that you're an achiever? And more often than not, it's like a deer in the headlights. And that person isn't going to get a job in one of my businesses. So I look for winners. So generally, if you're someone who considers yourself a winner, great. But if you're not, you have to make a decision that it's going to mean more to you. Number 2, they are accountable. They take ownership of everything. You can never, ever, as a successful salesperson, be a victim to your circumstances. You have a say in every single thing that comes about your sales day. Let's say you're in a residential team and there's not a lot of people home. It's like, oh no, I've got low contacts. Well, that's what a poor salesman would say. Do you know what a good salesperson would do? They would hurry up and find them, right? There's always a circumstance where it's going to be difficult. You get better and better at acclimating the more you do. But if you simply decide that you're going to be accountable and choose to take those things on, you're going to be great. Now, accountability works both ways. It works forward and backwards in time. If it's let's say it rains, it's working, forward in time. You've got to be accountable for that. You don't be upset, oh no, it's raining and you're out selling outdoors in a car yard or, something similar. You have to say, well, I took a shower this morning. That wasn't so bad, was it? Like if you're at a music festival, my favorite thing, I love, those international music festivals. It's some of the best experiences of my life. And in those festivals, if it starts raining at a festival, does it ruin the festival? No, it makes it even better because people are committed to having a great time. If you're committed to your goals, you'll own the problems that come along the way. At some point, you said yes to these circumstances. You might as well, enjoy it. The other part of accountability, and the more important part I find, is being accountable to the past, to the things that happen. Because in those, there's always lessons. And a lot of people, they love to shuck that responsibility because they don't like the idea of other people seeing them fail. But if you can get over that, if you can simply decide that you want to fail, that you're ready to fail, and you know that that's the key to success, you're going to be having a consistently learning mentality. Having a learning mentality is one of the most important things you can do in anything, let alone in sales. Because the most successful people are always learning. They're always finding new things that make them better. That's the fun of the job. So if you're not taking on those failures, if you're not being accountable to the things that go wrong, if you're blaming this person or this circumstance or simply avoiding it altogether, you're costing yourself an incredible opportunity to get better, which is something that we all really need if we're going to perform at a high level. Third trait that successful salespeople have more than anything, they are resilient. They never, ever give up. They never throw in the towel. And even if they get beaten and don't do what they want, they come back the next day ready for blood. That's the secret to being a great salesperson, is you got to toughen up. And the secret to that isn't about being a certain type of person. It's about deciding not to take those failures personally. If you don't take things personally, if they don't drain you, if failing doesn't hurt you, of course you can take it on the chin. It's one of the most fundamental things in success, in the concept of success, is one of my favorite quotes. It's actually by Brian Tracy. He says, if you want to double your rate of success, you need to triple your rate of failure. Because the more that you're failing, the more that you're learning. Success is never about the circumstances. That's why 2/3 of people that win the lottery end up broke. Success is about learning and acquiring and amalgamating all the skills required. Once you have all the skills, success is inevitable. So getting that mentality of really internalizing failure and not taking it personally, not being upset because you didn't get what you want, because you feel like that performance reflects on who you are. Make the decision that you know who you are and that failures are just incidental. I look at, I love carnivores. I love especially jungle cats. And I was watching a documentary on cheetahs because I actually went to the zoo in Singapore. And there was only a plate glass window about that thick between me. And one of the cheetahs came straight up to me and put its face on the glass. And I lowered my face. And I was this close to a cheetah. And they are just magnificent. And I was watching this documentary, and they're just killing machines. Every part of them is designed to be the fastest, most aggressive things on that plane, because there's obviously not a whole lot of mountains, so speed's gonna be the thing that gets you fed, right? Even being as amazing as they are, because obviously they put so much energy, their body produces so much energy, if they run for more than 2 minutes, they will overheat and die. And they know that. So they've only got about a minute's worth or a minute and a half's worth of running and chasing in them. Believe it or not, on 80% of the attempts that a cheetah makes on a prey, it doesn't get it. It fails on 80% of its attempts to try and kill something and eat it. Do you think the cheetah takes it personally? Do you think the cheetah says, oh man, I'm gonna quit, I'm not gonna do this? No, they're a cheetah. They're the coolest animal in the world. What they do is they dust themselves off and they get back up and they try again. And that's what the best salespeople do. Number 4, they are prepared. The best salespeople are always prepared. One of the best quotes I heard about this was from a colleague. He says, you know how many sales you're gonna get that day the night before. Because the more that you prepare, the more that you really get your head around the routines and structures and things that create sales for you, the more of that you do, the more of a flow state you're gonna be in, the more certainty you're gonna produce. And when you're in a flow state where you're not thinking about anything, when your brain's completely empty and you're completely certain that you're going to achieve what you want to achieve, who's going to stop you? And that's a trait that the best salespeople all share. When you're talking about being prepared, it's actually neurochemical, because the more inconsistent your morning and day is before you go out and start selling, the more cortisol your brain produces, because again, the more it does something it knows, the safer it's gonna feel. The safer it feels, it produces serotonin. The less safer it feels, it produces cortisol. Cortisol makes your body language shrink up. It makes your sleep a little bit worse, so you have less energy. It makes you shrink down. It makes you lethargic. And believe it or not, it actually decreases your IQ temporarily. Serotonin's the complete opposite. Serotonin's that love chemical where you're just feeling on top of the world all the time. And the more of a consistent, prepared routine where you don't have any kinks or surprises in your day, the more of that serotonin you're going to produce and the less of that cortisol you're going to produce. So the more prepared that you can be, the more in flow you're going to be, the more sales you're going to make. And finally, the 5th trait that all great salespeople have in common is they are absolutely goal-focused. Everything they think about is working towards something. Something we all need as human beings, but it's something that the best salespeople have really mastered. Believe it or not, it's not even about the achievement of that goal. I mean, yeah, it feels nice, but you look at any great sports star, once they've achieved that, once they've got that title, more often than not, they slack off. They go, no, I did it. And then they go to obscurity. Because the understanding is that you've got to set a subsequent goal right away. So no matter what, they're always working towards something. So if you're struggling with that, if you're struggling to work towards something, of course you're not going to be able to put in that extra effort because you're relying on willpower. How good's willpower when things go wrong? It's one of the most ineffective motivators in the world. What you need is to correlate the things that you're doing with the most important things that you want in your life. You have to focus on the why before you focus on the what or the how. So really getting a goal that ticks every possible box you want. So the secret to that is simple. All you have to do is list out everything in your life that if you pictured this perfect, ideal world for yourself, what are the things that you would achieve? What are the things that you would have in your life? What are the experiences that you would have? And if you get all of those down, and you realize that the goal that you're pushing for doesn't correlate to any of those, you need a new goal. So making sure that you're correlating those. And if your goal does have all of those things, you're instantaneously going to be energized because you know that what you're doing right now will take you towards everything that you've ever wanted. You're going to feel that purpose and meaning in your life. And it's going to make a massive difference on your overall output. Making sure that you become a goal-focused person is going to be one of the greatest skills that you can develop. And it's one of the greatest traits that you can put together. So there are the 5 traits that every great salesperson shares. And there are the 5 traits that you can put work into to get better at every single day. Become a winner. Be accountable. Be prepared. Be resilient. And focus on your goals. If you can put all 5 of those things together, you'll be unstoppable. Happy hunting, guys.